Welcome to today's bonus example. By the end of this video, you will have some real Python superpowers. You're going to learn how to work with one of the most important data structures, and that is JSON. Today we're going to build this Quiz app, which works like this. So you see the command line interface, that's the output of the program. So once the user runs the program, they are asked several questions, the quiz questions. So that is the first question, what are dolphins? And then you have several alternatives we show to the user. Each of them is numbered, so the user can enter a number here. For example, if they think 1 is the correct answer, they enter 1. In this case, 3 is the correct answer because dolphins are mammals. So you can press enter as a user, then you get asked the second question. What occupies most of your surface? Let's put the incorrect answer this time, which is 1. Press enter. And so this quiz happened to have only 2 questions, but you can add as many as you want. So that is the output of the program. The program lists all the questions and it tells the user if that question was a correct answer or not. So that first question was correct. So you see this correct answer here. And then it says that the user entered option 3 and the correct answer was also 3. Then you have the second question about the Earth's surface, which was incorrect because the user answer was 1, but the correct answer was 2. And then we show the score to the user, which was 1 out of 2. So 1 correct answer out of 2 total questions. So let's build this app. Let's create inside bonus a Python file, bonus15.py. Right, that is the file. Now, whenever you want to build a program, you first want to think about the output. So once you have a clear idea of what the output will be, then next is the data structure you want to use. So now you know what the output will be more or less, because I showed that to you, so you have an idea in your mind. Then you want to think about the data structure. So are you going to use a list to store those questions, or a list of lists perhaps? How do you do it? So that is the big question you ask yourself in the beginning. Now you know that we have used lists for to-dos, so we had this kind of to-dos, and we get those to-dos from the text file, and we create a list data structure in Python. So we had like buy grocery as an item of the list, and then the next to-do, clean the trash, and so on. And then you also saw that we had this other example where we worked with CSV files. And there we had this list of lists, right? So like that, and then we had a second list inside that bigger list. So each of the lists represented a row in the CSV data. So that was the first row, and then the second row with 2 other files, and so on. And this list of lists was also generated from that CSV file. The problem now is that our data structure is a bit more complex. It is not as flat as the to-dos.txt file or the CSV file. It is a bit more complex and it looks like this. So we're going to have several questions. Let's say question 1, and then we have question 2, and so on. So question 1 contains these attributes. It contains the question text, and that's its value. For example, what are dolphins? And then it contains an alternatives attribute, which contains several values, which could be a list, so alternative 1, alternative 2, and so on. And then it contains another attribute, correct answer. So these three attributes make up a question. And every question has the same structure. So let's think of the data structure from top to bottom. We have several questions. So the question is the topmost object. And so we have several questions. Since each of these objects is a question, as I've told you, as I've explained to you before, when the objects are similar, you can get away with a list. So each item of the list is going to be a question. But the question is not just a string, right? It is a nested data structure. So a question contains three elements, as you see here. Question text, alternatives, and correct answer. And each of them is not similar now. So we cannot have a list where we have, let me keep that open there. We cannot have a list where we say question text like that and alternatives and so on. It's better to have a dictionary where you say question text and its value is what are dolphins. Now you might ask, why am I writing the data in a Python file? Because I explained you before that we should store data in external files. Well, we'll do that, of course. But first let's write it here, and then we just copy and paste it in the JSON file, which I'll explain later on what it is exactly. So that is the question text. What are dolphins? That's a question text value. So a key and a value. So that is a dictionary. Now this dictionary is also going to contain an alternatives key, which is going to contain as a value these four alternatives. So one is amphibians, 2 is fish, 3 is mammals, and 4 is birds. And lastly, we are in the same dictionary. You see here the brackets. Lastly, we're going to have the correct answer key, which is going to contain as a value just a number. So 3, which points to mammals. And just like that, we're going to have other dictionaries. So let me copy that dictionary, paste it here. So we have two dictionaries. I'm going to remove this last comma. We only have two dictionaries. So question text for this one is going to be what occupies most of the Earth's surface. I've got a typo here. The alternatives this time are two, just land and water, and the correct answer is number 2. So water occupies most of the Earth's surface. Now we can do some improvements here. Here we can have a space, and here as well. Here as well. So just after the colons, it's better to have spaces like that. And I'm going to even split here and here as well. here, and here. So that is a list of dictionaries. Now if I run the code just to see if we've got any errors, no. So it seems like the list is complete. So let's store it in a variable a and print a. Execute. Yeah, it looks like this. So that's our data structure. Now, it's not a good idea to have the data stored in a Python file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to bonus, the folder where my bonus 15 file is. And I'm going to right click and go to new file, questions.json. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a text file with a .json extension. Although you could also leave it as a .txt extension, so both would work, but the convention is to use .json. And inside .json, you copy and paste that data structure. And inside here, you want to get that list without the variable, so delete the variable. So get the entire list of dictionaries, go to questions, and paste it there. Now we go to bonus 15, we delete that, we import JSON, we open the questions.json file in read mode as a file. We load the content of the file in a content variable using file.read, not read lines, just read, and that is going to give us the content as a string. Right? This is a string. Note that it is a string, and that makes it very useless. But that is what the JSON module is for. So instead of working on a string, we create a data variable and we say json.load_s, which means load string. The string is content. Now print data is going to be a list. You can prove that using type data, and if you check before that type content, so you're going to see that the first is a string, so content is a string and data is a list. So by having a list, that means now we can extract the items of that list, which is not possible when that structure is just a string, it's just a plain text. So now we have the data variable. Let's go ahead and build the program. For question in data, so we iterate over the data list, which is a list of dictionaries, and we say print question text. Let me keep the questions data open here on the right and bonus 15 here on the left. So if I run this, this is what we're going to get. What are dolphins? What occupies most of the Earth's surface? So we were able to access these values. It is as easy as that. So you iterate over all the dictionaries. So question is going to be the dictionary in each iteration, and question text is going to be this value. So we print out that value in each iteration. We need a question mark in here after surface. And next, so after what are dolphins, we also want to print out the alternatives. For that, we say for alternative in question, how do we access alternatives? So question, again, don't forget, question is always the dictionary in the loop. And so now we go and we say question, alternatives, print alternative. So that variable we print it here. I've got a typo. Yeah, that's correct. So this is a nested for loop under this mother for loop. So let's run this. And there we go. What are dolphins, amphibians, fish, mammals, birds? And then we have the next question and so on. Or let's improve this by saying for index, alternative in question, enumerate, print index, a dash, and then the alternative variable. Run. There we go. So option 0, amphibians, 1, fish, mammals, etc. And if you like, you can say index plus 1 to increase those numbers by 1, since the default index starts from 0. So now we have 1, 2, 3, and so on. Next, we want to ask the user what is their choice, what they think is the correct answer. So for that, we want to go under the main for loop. So just here, because we want to show that output for each iteration of the question objects, right? So don't confuse that with this, but you have to be here. You don't want to ask the user for each alternative. You want to ask the user for each question, and that brings you here. So we say user choice is equal to input, enter your answer. And we're working with integers here, so I'm going to convert this into an integer, because you see that these here in the JSON data, these are also integers. 3 and 2 are integers. So that's what we do. So let's run this. Yeah, we get the first question, and then the user enters an answer like 2, and then the next question, the answer, and the user enters another alternative like 1. And yeah, it's fine, but what do we do with this variable now? Well, there are different ways you could think of this problem, what to do with the user choice value, but a recommended way is to inject that value into the current data structure. The current data structure is stored in the data variable, so it is a list, and therefore what you could do is you could add another dictionary to this question object. So just like we have the question text dictionary with the question text key and value, and then you have alternatives with alternatives as a key and the actual list as a value. So we also want to add a fourth dictionary here, which would be something like user choice and the actual number that the user entered. And as you may know, when you have a dictionary like A is 1, and if that dictionary is stored in a variable X, you can add more items to that. For example, U is 2. So X, U is 2, and now X is updated to that. It also has U as a key pair, so U2. We can do the same here. We can say data. Actually, it's not data, it is question, because data is the entire list and question is the current dictionary. That one, for example. So question points to that dictionary. Therefore, we say question user choice is equal to user choice. So that is a string. Don't confuse that string with that. That will be the key of this pair, and that number is going to be the value of that key. So if we do that, and if I print data now at the end, after the loop ends, so I unindented here, and run, and we say enter your answer 2, enter 3, press enter. Now we got this printed out from that line. So we have the question text, what are dolphins, the alternatives, the list here, correct answer 3, and then we have the user's choice 2. So this user's choice pair was added to the dictionary. Now we want to calculate the score. So we start with a score of 0. So when the quiz has not started yet, the user has a score of 0, correct? Then, once we get the user's choice in here, we compare that user choice with the correct answer, right? Using an equality comparison operator. And then here we say a colon. So if the user's choice is equal to the correct answer, score will be equal to score plus 1. So the actual number, which is 0 for now, plus 1, and we're going to be having a score of 2. And then the next loop will come, and then if the user's choice is again equal to the correct answer, so if the two numbers are equal, then the score is going to increase to 2, because the current score will be 1, so 1 plus 1 is 2, and score will be updated to 2, and so on. So let's print the score here to check if we're doing well. Around bonus, let's enter 3 for mammals and 1 for land, and there we go, we have the score of 1. Of course, we can improve that by saying print score, a backslash, and then the length of data, and run. 3 for mammals, 1 for land. There we go, 1, 2. So 2 is the length of the data, basically the number of questions we have in the quiz. Data is the bigger list. So the list has 2 dictionaries. One dictionary for the first question, a second dictionary for the second question. Now we are done with that loop. So we ask the questions, we get the answers, and then we show here the score. But we also want to show what answers the user made, and then so that the user can see what they chose as a correct answer and what the correct answer actually was for each question. Now we can print out this data here, but these are not very user-friendly, so we want to parse them now to make them more readable for the user. Therefore, we want to iterate for a second time for question in data. This time, of course, the iteration will occur over the updated data with the user's choice inside those data. So for question in data, question is the dictionary, we want to create a message variable, which is going to be an f string, and this is going to contain question user choice. This user choice now has to be in single quotes because the outer quotes are double, so you cannot use double quotes inside user choice as well. So you can say that your answer is that, maybe a comma outside that, and then go outside these curly brackets, and you could say correct answer is question I'm going to split this here, and that will create that backslash, so it allows me to split the f string. So the question at this point is going to be correct answer. So that reflects this here. Right, I have these quotes here, which shouldn't be there. So now it's fine. So quotes here, double quotes here, double quotes here, F here as well, and double quotes in here as well. So if I print the message now, answer 3, answer 1. So that's what we get. Your answer was 3, correct answer was 3. Your answer was 1, correct answer was 2. So that was for the first question, this was for the second question. Of course, you could also integrate the number here. To get the number of the question, you do enumerate here. You say for index question enumerate, and then in here you want to place index plus 1, maybe a dash. So that's gonna be replaced by the number, by the index plus 1. Since indexing starts from 0, we add 1 to that. So 3, 1, there we go. Let me delete that print data so we don't have that line there. So try again to run it. 3 and 1. And yeah, that's the result. Lastly, if you wanted to add here like a decision whether this answer was correct or not, you would have to write here a conditional. But the conditional is this one in here, so we don't have to write it 2 times. We just cut it from there and paste it in here, and then the score we also bring it down here. It makes more sense. So we calculate the score in this second iteration, and then we say under this if conditional, we say that we increase the score by 1, and then we say the result is correct answer. So if the user's choice is equal to the correct answer, we create a variable equal to correct answer. Else, the result is wrong answer. And then at this point we're going to have either wrong answer for the result variable or correct answer for the result variable. Therefore, we can integrate that result string inside the f string. So just create another placeholder here, result, maybe some space, run, 3, and 1, and there we go. Correct answer for answer 1, because we gave 3 and we got 3 as the correct answer. And then the wrong answer for answer 2, your answer was 1, the correct answer was 2. Of course, this number makes more sense to be before the results here. So 3, 1. So there you go. Those are the results. And that is the score, the final score. And that is the final product. So the key takeaways here are that for more complex data structures, you can use JSON data. So data which are made of lists and dictionaries, and they are put in these .json files, are called JSON data. So these data can then be interpreted by Python using this JSON module. So the JSON module gets the data from this file as simple text, and it converts them into a proper data structure, in this case a list. Now this square brackets could have also been curly brackets. So this entire thing could have been one dictionary made of different dictionaries. For example, let me add this curly brackets here and close it in here. And then you could have here question 1, a colon, and then here question 2, a colon, and that would be a dictionary. Oh, we need to remove that square bracket as well. So I just changed the data structure from a list of dictionaries to a dictionary of dictionaries. Now if I open the Python console and I import JSON here, and then I open that questions.json file in read mode as a file, note that my questions.json file is inside the bonus folder, so I have to write this bonus slash, and then I'd say content is equal to file.read. So content is a string, and then if I say x is equal to json.load s, so load the string content, now x is going to be a dictionary. So type x, it's a dictionary. But in our program, data here was a list. So the data type is automatically assigned depending on the first brackets here, which could be square brackets or curly brackets. Of course, that this would not work. So if the data structure does not follow the syntax, the correct syntax, for example, these pairs don't have keys, so I just remove those keys, then things will not work. You'll get an error when you try to read that content with that loads method. So I didn't use a dictionary of dictionaries here because, as I explained to you in the beginning, all the questions are the same, therefore we don't need to say that this is question 1 and this is question 2. We just have a list of dictionaries because all questions are questions of the same object. With that, thanks a lot for following this long video, and I'll see you later. See you.